it's Marcos and I'm back again with another video, and in this video we're going to be doing and creating a new little applique. And in this rhinestone applique edition, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the carnival arm and leg pieces. So let's get started. Okay, so on my other video I showed you guys how to make appliques like this. I showed you the rhinestone and how to glitter them, how to draw something out, and I've also shown you how to burnt and felt the back. One of you guys, well, several of you wanted to see more videos of this edition, so here I am delivering. I will show you how I did the frame, the metal work that's inside, and what I used inside of here. This is probably up to you guys on the design, on how you guys want this to look. I have let this sit for a couple hours now, and this is still flat. So I went ahead and recorded a video, so I'm super excited to show you guys what I did. And it's about almost 4 in the morning, and I am recording this intro now. I have been up all night just recording this for you guys because I know that you guys are interested in wanting to learn more. So here I am delivering with a whole new video. So I hope the creative in you springs out with the new 2021. So let's get started. Okay, I have the leg and the arm piece designed here. This is the bra and the other appliques. I think I've shown you that before. Okay, you need the glue sticks and the glue gun. Get the high temperature one. This is going to make you work faster. You will need glitter glue and loose glitter, E6000 or the Gorilla Glue. You will need the rhinestone chain. This is in the 4mm. And your choice of rhinestone to decorate. You will also need a measuring tape and a ruler. This down here is the craft foam, so you will probably get this from the hobby store. Everything will be linked down below. You will need pliers, felt either in the matching color or in black. The wire that I'm using is galvanized wire. This is in the 14 gauge one. This is the one I usually like for back pieces or head pieces. The thicker one is actually a little better. They just didn't have it this time, but this is the wire. You guys can find it at Hobby Lobby, Lowe's, Home Depot. Okay, so right here we have the leg piece, which a lot of you guys were asking how I do the leg piece. And this is the back side. There's a seam going down the middle because I joined two felts to felt the whole thing. I couldn't find big enough felt to cover the whole thing in one piece. So if you don't find it, I would recommend just using two pieces and then cutting it in between. So it's the same thing for the leg and the arm. It's just a smaller version of it. It depends on the design, the applique that you're doing and for the decoration. And this is just one style. I can show you guys different styles. This is just the regular bracelet type style. How I got the measurements for the length of these is by measuring. So I can't tell you how long in a specific, I can tell you how long this is, but my leg is going to be different. So this is exactly 16.5 inches on the tall one, on the one that's over the calf. And then on my ankle, it's only 12.5 inches. So the one on the top, it's always going to be bigger. And then the one on the bottom is always going to be smaller. That's due because your wrist is smaller than the rest of your forearm. So you will have to measure your wrist and then add like about 2 inches or 1.5 inches. I know that my wrist is 7.5 inches. So I'm just gonna, and then this one's 9. So I added 2 inches to the total. So that's what you want to do. You want to give enough room for the measurement. That way when you curve them, they overlap a little bit. That way they stay secure and snug. That way they just barely overlap a little bit. So that's what you want to do. And also you want to keep this as flat as possible until the end. I would recommend you to make your frame and lay it flat, because that's going to make it easier for you to glue everything together on the end. This one right here, the arm piece is small enough that one felt sheet covers the whole thing. Also, if you have found the foam sheets that have the sticker stuff, don't get this one. This one's not going to work out for you, because this has a sticky layer, which, you know, it could work out. But what happens is over time, the sticky layer actually comes undone, and then you end up ripping or tugging the felt off. So I would say this measurement, the half sheet, is good enough for an arm piece. But for a leg piece, I would say make sure you have the really long one. That way you can get more circumference on the length. Because if you put this like this, it's not going to work. So it has to be this way, long-wise. So for the legs, use the big sheet. And for the arms, use this one. But if you don't have, you can always just fold this in half, cut it, and then you can use, this is for one arm and this is for the other arm. Okay, so let me show you guys how I built the frame. Okay, what I have here is galvanized wire, which you can find it at the hobby store or more like Home Depot or Lowe's. You can find this sometimes at Walmart. Try to get the 18-inch, not the 14, but they only had the 14 and this actually works. You definitely don't want it to be too thin that it just wiggles too much. So I have already some leftovers here from other projects. So what I'm doing is actually straightening out the curve, because the curve is going to be your enemy. So just make sure you have a really straight piece like this one. And what you're going to do with this wire is start measuring. I would say start kind of in the middle of a big piece. That way you have enough. So the shape that we're doing, it's almost like an eye. You can see it right here. It's an eye. And then going down the middle. So technically you're going to get your measurements. So I know that mine here is going to be 11.5 inches across and only 9 inches on the bottom. So I can start here just kind of measuring 9 inches on my wire. Let's see, we said this was going to be 11.5. And try to make sure that your wire is straight. That way you don't have problems later on. Okay, so you have your 11.5 measured here. So what you're going to do is start forming your eye. You're going to give a little bit of a turn. That's your first turn there. Now let's measure to make sure we have enough room. 11.5 lays right there, so I'm going to make another turn here. So now we have a rectangle piece like that. The thickness on how wide I want this, it depends on you. I would say don't go any thinner than this, because then your thing is going to be too weak. So you want to at least make it the size of a ruler in thickness. I kind of just use this, or make it just a slight bigger than like a thickness of a ruler. That's probably like an inch or like 1.5 inches. It's about almost 1.5 inches. It's a little smaller than 1.5 inches. So we're going to grab our ruler and kind of give ourselves a rough estimate on how big I want to make this. So I'm going to make it about right there. And now we are having this shape forming, which is going to be like a rectangle. So it's like an eye. So I also told you to leave a little bit more wire on this side. That way you can do the rest of the side. So let me show you guys how to do that. Okay, so you have this piece here. We're going to fold it on the other side as well. So now you have a big rectangle piece kind of like that. What you're going to do is try to find the middle. You can use your ruler or your measuring tape and find your middle here. So I'm going to go here to just, you can mark this, but I'm just going to visualize it, and I'm going to curve the wire down. And you're going to do the same thing to the other side. You want to make sure you leave about 1 inch in between so you have that extra support. So around here, you can see where my ruler is at. I'm gonna measure a little bit further out, like there, and bend this wire down, like that. Now it looks like you have a T. You want to make sure you kind of play with it and bend it as much as you can, because this is going to be your frame. And technically, it takes a while to decorate and then realize that your frame was too small. So make sure that your frame is big enough for what you need. Okay, this part, I would say, technically, you would make the frame after you've done your design. Why you would want to do that? Because I don't know exactly how long I want this to be.
I'm measuring the appliques right here to just give myself a rough idea on how long to make the T in the middle. I am measuring some of the appliques there and then measuring the length that I kind of used last time, and it almost was the same, so I'm going to go with 8 inches.
Decided that my length here is going to be roughly 8 inches. So up to the 8-inch mark, counting the top, the very top, not from the bound here, because technically this is the top of your design. So you want to measure this from up here, and then about 8 inches here, I am going to bend out again. So around here, I bend out the wire again, and then do the same to the other side, rough the same spot. And now we're going to be almost closing our eye. Don't cut it here. Cut it in the middle on both sides. Let some extras to overlap. Okay, so I have shown you now how I built the frame. This is just a rough frame on what you're gonna need. Okay, just with a little bit of tape. I use the tape for a lot of things, especially when I make headpieces. It helps to tie in the wires, that way they're not moving around. So I use the tape to just kind of center my design, and that way it's not moving around so much. Okay, so we did that. Now we have our eye. We can grab your felt piece, and you can see that it's like perfect to the size of the regular size foam. So technically you could cut this out, but I'm going to show you a different way on how I do it. That way you already have your frame made, so now the fun part begins. Okay, so I cut my large in half. I just folded it like this, and then I went ahead and folded it this way. That way I get more measurements and more precision. That way I know that this is the center front that's going to sit right on front of my arm. So this is the center front, and this is the bracelet part. Okay, so I already know, according to my design on my book, you guys can freehand this or you guys can plan it out. I like planning it out. That way I know kind of, so it has these like teardrops here. So I already have one. So if you guys already follow me, thank you guys so much for subscribing. I will link down below somewhere around here the video on how to make these. You can tell that this one doesn't have the felt on it. It just has the foam, and you guys can follow step by step on how to do these appliques or these ones here. There's different ones. I know I've only shown you guys these ones, but I mean, it's the same idea, just with different stones. So, okay, I know that I want to keep this part here. I want this to be here on that. So it looks like I'm covering part of the actual bracelet part. So here, I want to make sure I am about 1 inch to 1.5 inches away from the edge. And we're going to end up cutting this little bit off. But we want enough, that way this has enough support here on the edges. Okay, so it looks like we're probably going to start with my applique there. I'm going to, you guys can use hot glue. That's probably going to be the fastest for y'all to work with. But I'm going to be using the Gorilla Glue, okay? And I'm actually going to use this Gorilla Glue on the bottom part of my applique, kind of like halfway. Make sure I line it up in the middle. So that's how we're going to start, because this one's all about the shape. So we have this going on. And then we're going to add the rest of our design here. So I'm going for a certain type of pattern. So I'm just going to do this part kind of faster, time slap. That way we're not here forever, me doing these. Okay, so technically here, this is how the frame is going to sit. And if you can see, we have enough space in between for the support in the middle. Like I said, this part right here will be cut. I might end up cutting the wire here as well to make it more seamlessly. And this part is going to be dangling off our wrist, kind of in this area. That way the wrist kind of sits here, and then we have a dangly here. That's kind of what's going on with this applique here. So we're going to let this dry. And now that you have your design, you're technically almost done. What's left to do is to let this dry. We're going to flip it over, and then we're going to glue and cut the sides to where we need our little bends to be going. We're going to flip this around, cut it, glue the frame with hot glue, and then we're going to felt the back. Okay, so I have left this dry for a few hours. I'm going to now measure here how far away I need to cut. I know up here I'm going to leave it as long as the whole strip goes, but down here I need to cut a couple inches off. So I will mark with my nail kind of there, and then I'm going to mark right here. And I kind of want to make a rough estimate kind of where I want to cut my, and I just use my nail to kind of make a guide. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. Now I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm going to cut my strips out, which are going to be right on the bottom part of the ankle. Okay, now that we have cut that out, I'm going to cut roughly around. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want the general shape of your design. Like that. I know these are a lot thicker because I did that. I want to make sure that I have enough. I can always trim the excess, but never, add more, because I want to make sure that this is all in one piece. If I would be making this in separate pieces, it wouldn't have mattered. I could have made all these appliques separately and then just cut the little strips and then attached it to it. But I don't want to do that. I want to make sure it's one solid piece. So we have this. Now we are going to flip it, and we are going to start gluing our frame. This is where it's very important that it lays flat. If you have a corner that is sticking up like this, you want to make sure that you're folding your metal now and not when you're gluing it down, because it's going to get hot. This whole metal will get hot with the temperature of the glue. So if you would want to touch it and hold it and press it down, you're going to burn your finger. So either wear heat protective gloves or beware to burn, because the wire does get really hot. So just FYI. And yeah, you just want to make sure that it lays flat. So you want to be on a flat surface as well. I like using the big hot glue, industrial hot glue gun. First, because it heats up super fast. And also it uses more glue. So I'll be able to use... And I just pour the glue right on top of the wire. And this is going to be the trickiest part of it all. It's going to be gluing this together. And if you are having problems with your wire laying flat, put the fingers underneath the foam. That way you don't burn your fingers, and then that way you're putting pressure onto it. I'm gonna say use as much as glue as you need. Go little by little. Make sure that the pieces are dried before you start moving the wire, because if your glue is not dry, what's gonna happen is that the wire is gonna detach from the foam. So you want to saturate it as much as you can. Remember, the glue here is working as the bonding agent. So this is what's going to make it sturdier. So you want to make sure that the foam is actually touching the wire. And you're going to add as many layers of glue as you need to make sure that this is on there. I'm going to retouch the first part I did and kind of start pushing it down with the tip of my glue gun, because this is really hot and the metal is heating up as well. So yeah, make sure that the wire is covered completely. You kind of want to go in zigzag motions. And it's never enough glue. So I'm just going to keep on showing you here. I kind of use my support. This is why I like going into pieces, because if the glue is not dried over here and the metal is not straight, what happens is that this starts to lift. So just let your glue dry before you go to another section. It's easier if you just do it section by section and then you just press and hold. That's probably going to be a lifesaver, because this step is probably the most tedious of them all, of all the steps, because the wire just needs to be flat and you want to make sure that you put enough glue. So if that includes you pushing it down and re-gluing, that's fine. Just make sure that the wire is very flat, and don't bend this thing. Just leave it flat as much as you can, because when you're going to apply the felt over it, that's when you're going to be able to just squish everything flat again. So I go ahead and just lift the metal a little bit. That way I put a little bit of glue underneath, and then I push it down, and then I zigzag all the way across as much as I can. And then I'm just going to let that dry. Okay, after you have done the whole frame is covered, I would recommend go back and look for certain areas that need a little more filling and covering, because this is going to be one of the last times you'll be in here applying glue. So make sure that you are very saturated all around. Okay. Another tip that I would say, you see this canal here? It will make a difference if you fill it with glue. So what I do is I just do like a zigzag in here, and that gives me extra support in the middle part, because right here and right here are going to be the high points on this, the pressure points. This is where this is gonna bend. This is where that's gonna bend. So you want a lot of glue right here. So that's what I end up doing. I grab another glue stick, and then I'm gonna start kind of just all the way, just kind of like filling in the same height as the wire and the rest of the stuff goes. And like I said, I want to make sure that these two spots right here have a lot of glue. And that's going to give support. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it in here. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys because, you know, it's something that normally happens, and it's something that I knew that I was going to have to do, and then last minute I forgot to do it because I was showing you guys. So, you know, we all learn from our mistakes. So what I had to do here is unglue the wire that was going right here, and I cut it right in half. And I ended up bending the wire up. If you can see it, this wire is now coming up. And now we have this free space. Why? Because right on the other side, we have the part that we're gonna cut out. And we have the support here. That's why we have half of this applique in here. That way it's supported. Now it's gonna be supported by the metals here too. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that extra piece out of here. That way we have a little bit more of a realistic shape. Okay, so I cut off the X's here, and I just left the flaps as they are. We're gonna get ready to felt, and we're gonna be felting in parts. So let's just start in the tip and try to get it as closest to the edge as possible. I'm gonna go around all the edges first, and then kind of fill in this little guy. And because even though we're using a high professional industrial hot glue gun, it doesn't heat up as fast as I work. So I need to slow down my work process when I'm working with this type of stuff. So we're gonna measure it halfway. Make sure we're covering our design, and just press it firmly. That way the glue kind of seeps into everywhere that it needs to be in, all the edges. Okay, I thought I was recording, but technically what I just did was flip it over and start cutting out my outline. It doesn't have to be perfect. So let's just cut roughly around it. Okay, so I went ahead and just glued some more filler. That way it didn't look so blank in between. I already sealed the edge all around. You can see how neat this looks. But right here, I'm still trying to finish off the edge. So I'm going to show you what I do, which I already showed you guys in the other video. But if you didn't watch this video, I'm going to show you the full gig on how I do this. So we're almost done here. But technically, this edge right here is still... the edge right there, I just need to seal it because I want it to look like this. And all the edge of it is sealed, kind of burnt a little bit. That's what we're gonna do here. Okay, so I just wanted to show you like the difference between the styles and how it looks with the black backing and then like the color backing. You can't really tell, but I mean, I kind of wanted to do it with the color this year. So I just so little difference here, you guys can see. And also, I use 2 wires in here. If you only use 1 wire, what's going to happen is if you only use the 1 wire in the middle, it's going to make the whole thing very flimsy. You're not going to have much. You see how much that moves? That's too flimsy compared to this. This is a more solid piece. You see how that's not wiggling? This one's just all over the place. Wiggle, wiggle, waggle. So you don't want none of that. So make sure you do the frame double all around. And I want to show you guys the difference between this being the last year's arm piece. It's a lot smaller. And this year is really big. It's like almost double the size of the other one. This camera angle, girl, I can't show you. Okay, here, let's do this. So, yeah, it's much larger this year. It almost looks like it's a leg piece. A little bit of head pieces here because maybe you guys have questions and you want to learn how to do these. So let me know if you want to learn how to do the whole frame and how I decorate them. That's kind of the fun part. The hard part is kind of getting everything framed and covered and wrapped. And I mean, it all is very tedious work, but if you have fun doing it, it's so you just want to keep going because you just want to see the end result. So you guys can't see my little feathers up here, but yeah. Okay, so this is the headpiece that's corresponding the rest of the fantasy that you guys showed with the bra and the appliques. This are going to be the arm pieces. And I wanted to show you a little bit of a difference because this one's more of a simpler, smaller headpiece. Let me go down here. Okay, so maybe you can see it all. This one's a smaller, simpler headpiece, and this one's a much larger headpiece, and it's the same frame. Last year I did everything black inside, not purple. This year I'm doing it a little different. I want to make sure I want to keep just the same color, I guess, blue inside. But with this one, I did everything in the back black. So yes, we do have larger feathers on here. We have the ostrich. This is the back. Only this part's decorated because this is probably the only thing you can see right here is full with hair. The front, I'm going to put it on so you guys can see the size difference between this one and the other one. So this one is much, much larger, and it takes out I need to find a better way to store these because the feathers end up getting crushed in the closet. And you guys can see that there's a lot of stones missing here. Okay, well, anyways, I didn't come up here to show you guys my mess. But I wanted to show you guys the details of the appliques that I have going on here. It's technically it's the same applique over and over and over and over again. I just found the way to kind of connect them in between. And yeah, there's different techniques on how big and how to frame this opening here and how I did the frame to make the ears kind of stick out. So it just depends on what shape you're trying to do and what type of what type of shell and what type of feel you're trying to do. It all just depends. And this, you see how this is kind of more sticking out to the front than the rest. That's kind of like the feel that I wanted to go for. And there's different ways. If you see right here, we have the metal holding this piece up. But yeah, this is much larger, and this one's just like a smaller. It's got a lot of detail, don't get me wrong. It's got definitely a lot of detail, but it is a lot smaller because it doesn't have a larger frame coming over here, making it big and the feathers shaping it. This one is supposed to be more of a petite, and all the drama is up here with the feathers. So yeah, comment down below. Let me know if you guys want to learn more about maybe headpieces. I'm going to be, in this series, I'm going to be showing you guys the full fantasy and how I make things. So if you like this series, if you guys like this series, if you guys want to learn more about costuming and showgirl kind of carnival outfits, I will be going step by step. So I showed you guys how to make the appliques. Now I'm showing you guys how to do the arm and leg pieces. Comment down below. Let me know what you want to see next. The back piece. You want to see a little bit more of the headpiece. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, like my video, comment down below, hit the notification bell, be notified for every new upload. And hey, do you want to follow me on every social media? Facebook and Instagram at EMENYCREATION. Hugs and kisses. Bye.